Today, I want to talk about Sagittarius risings through each decan using Eartha Kitt, Kim Kardashian, and Malcolm X as examples. Decans basically add another layer to a zodiac sign. That Sagittarius won't be the same as that Sagittarius. The rising sign governs a lot of things, but today I want to focus on how it drives a person's life's purpose. There's a pattern with Sagittarius risings. They have very strong beliefs. They value growth and they feel called to expand. How that all plays out really depends on the chart. Eartha Kitt is a Sagittarius rising. She is a Mercury decan, which is the first decan out of 3. Her ruler of her chart is Jupiter, and it's in Aquarius in the 3rd house. So I know that in childhood, she was essentially an orphan. She said due to her mixed race, it was really hard for her to find community. Even as she grew, she was put in environments where she still felt different from others. I read that she was in the international cabaret. So she met and she was around a variety of different people. Mercury adapts, and being the Mercury decan that she is, she adapted. She taught herself many languages. She learned how to sing in 11 languages and she became fluent in 4. So instead of feeling like she didn't belong anywhere, she started to feel like, well, now I belong everywhere. Mercury decans are observational, most likely because they have to be. Mercury decans also know how to adapt, most likely because they had to. Mercury decans adapt by pattern recognition and then learning. The ruler of Eartha's chart is in Aquarius, ruled by Saturn. And Aquarius rules over marginalized groups. So people who are overlooked, people who are excluded or don't fit into traditional social norms. She was very vocal about what she advocated for. And that was because what she advocated for, she lived it. She knew what it meant to be oppressed, displaced, misunderstood. She was vocal about being anti-war, anti-segregation, supporting underprivileged youth, and supported gay rights. Like, that's a lot. Her beliefs were shaped by personal hardship. One day she spoke up about the Vietnam War, and it drove everyone crazy. Even the CIA had her investigated. I think it would have been very hard for her to not speak up about it, because when you're a Sagittarius with the Mercury Decan, you're meant to observe, form a conclusion, and then either make the change, or speak up about it. I observe something and I need to tell everyone about it. That's Mercury Decan. This was Eartha's purpose. She was meant to be around different people and then observe what was going on around her, and then create meaning from what she observed, and then take those observations to expand other people's perspectives. Sagittarius risings with Mercury Decans, they need to see proof before they can believe in something. Like, they are the real students of life. You'll notice that they'll naturally gravitate towards wanting to learn about languages, people's cultures, law, politics, and then wanting to share what they learned. Kim Kardashian has a Sagittarius rising with a moon Decan. The ruler of her chart, Jupiter, is in Virgo, in her 10th house. Since Kim was a young girl, she always wanted to be famous. She knew she was going to be famous. Having a Sagittarius rising with the moon Decan, this vision was imprinted on her very early. I would assume that this dream, this belief of wanting to be famous, was connected to something very emotional for her. We learned that with Mercury Decans, their beliefs come from what they observe and what they learn. But with Moon Decans, their beliefs come from how they feel, what they choose to expand on is emotionally motivated. I read a book by Liz Green, and it was about Jupiter, and this is what she said. A strong natal Jupiter is often experienced as a feeling of being lucky or fortunate, because the rewards of our risk-taking can inspire an intuitive sense of a special connection to a higher or deeper source. So when risk works out for these individuals, they feel like, oh my God, maybe there is something greater. Maybe there is something greater watching over me, guiding me. Maybe I am God's favorite. Kim's chart ruler, Jupiter, is in Virgo, and she definitely was not afraid to take risk, but she did it by being calculating and observant. She would call paparazzi on herself. She was very strategic because she understood where the paparazzi hotspots would be. This is very Virgo-like. She even used her own sex tape to propel her into fame. Something that would have destroyed her reputation ended up being an opportunity for expansion. She wasn't afraid to take this risk because she already believed that she was destined for fame. Kim became involved in prison reform. After talking to many incarcerated individuals, she said it lit a fire in her. Her late father was a lawyer, and that also made her more passionate about it. She later on ends up going to school to become a lawyer. This is very emotionally motivated. It's personal and emotionally motivated. Traditionally, Sagittarius is associated with things like legal systems, laws, ethics. Traditionally, Sagittarius is associated with legal systems, laws, ethics, justice. I do think that Kim will go down this path, but she will need that same hunger that carried her to fame to also accomplish this. Faith usually appears when they want something so badly that they're willing to put their trust in something that is unseen. They're hungry, they're desperate, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they may think that they're hungry for this thing or this goal, but really they're hungry for a connection with God. They're looking for meaning in their lives. They're looking for more purpose in their lives. Sagittarius constantly needs to expand so they can continue their lifelong journey of finding meaning and purpose. When Kim does all that she can in entertainment, she will need to expand on something else. She will need to find new purpose. Liz Green said, "When we take serious risks with money, with career choices, with the law, with the lives of others, or with our emotions and our bodies, we're testing God to see whether He favors us. Soon she will say, is this it for me? Is this all that I will be?" I do believe that she will get hungry again, just like she was for fame, but she will need to be structured and diligent, just like she was to attain fame. Okay, so now what if you're a Sagittarius rising with a Saturn Decan? Malcolm X is a Sagittarius rising with the Saturn Decan, and the ruler of his chart, Jupiter, is in Capricorn in his first house. Saturn Decan has a heavy feel to it. The more we move through Sagittarius, our beliefs, whether spiritual, religious, philosophical, political, they become more serious. Saturn has a heavy feel to it. The farther we move through Sagittarius, belief, whether spiritual, religious, philosophical, or even political, becomes more serious. There's no time for observing and adapting. There's no time for risk taking to connect with a higher purpose. Here, belief is necessary for survival. So, Malcolm X went to prison for burglary, and he wanted to connect to something so he could turn his life around. His brothers already happened to be Muslim, so he got inspired to do the same. For Malcolm, being the Saturn Decan that he is, belief brought structure. Islam brought order and discipline. Very Saturn-like things. On top of that, Saturn rules things like prisoners. He just happened to find faith in prison. Malcolm's chart ruler, Jupiter, is in his first house. His purpose was to expand. He expanded as his worldview expanded. He was once Malcolm Little, but over time he realized he was more than Malcolm Little. And with Jupiter in his first house, he was larger than life. He inspired others to expand too. Someone's chart ruler in the first house can create a leader. And with Jupiter in Capricorn, his wisdom was earned. His growth and expansion was earned. And all of this made him such a great leader. Hi guys, if you're interested in a tarot or astrology reading, then check out my website. I also have something called reflective sessions where I help you do inner work. Go to divinationwithtony.com.